What's up, guys? So today I am very excited to be sharing with you guys the kits for the new X-Force team, including Domino, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and X23, along with the reworks to Deadpool and Cable. I like this team a lot, both thematically, as I'm a big fan of several of the characters, as well as functionally. I expect this team to be very strong on their own, but they'll be virtually unstoppable in Alliance War in particular. This team is definitely more offense than defense, but there's one thing they do better than any other team out there right now: speed bar manipulation. They're all about speed, namely gaining and distributing extra speed bar, in addition to removing enemy speed bar, which is extremely effective in a turn-based game. So let's jump right into it. First, we'll take a look at Domino. Domino is a hero, global, mutant, controller, and X-Force. She has an incredibly high base damage stat, fairly high armor, moderate focus, and subpar base health, which is pretty standard for a controller. Now, something you'll see on all the character stat charts in this video are the additional purple bars in the speed section. Her base speed of 105 is right around average, but as I mentioned earlier, this team is all about speed bar manipulation. That is to say that on her team, she's effectively a good amount faster. Not only will she gain an additional 15% speed bar on spawn when used as a solo character, but she'll gain another 5% from Cable. When used on War Offense, she'll instead gain 30% speed bar from Cable, and she'll additionally remove 5% speed bar from the enemy team. In short, I'll be stating each character's base speed as they appear in this video, but between gaining varying amounts of speed on spawn and the various mechanics several characters have for gaining additional speed during a match, it's tough to perfectly nail down each character's effective speed, so I've included the bonus purple speed to give you an idea for how much faster they'll feel when used alongside the rest of the X-Force. Just know that on War Offense, they'll be even faster. Alright, let's take a look at her kit. Domino's basic is Lucky Pair. Attack primary target for 210% damage, gain 50% crit chance for this attack. Gain an assist from a random X-Force ally. I like this basic because it guarantees an assist, and it has a 60% chance to crit when factoring in her 10% base crit chance. Domino's special is Fire in the Hole. This ability costs 5 energy and is ready on turn 2. If Deadpool is an ally, transfer all negative effects from self and each X-Force ally to Deadpool. Fill speed bar for Deadpool by 80%, attack the most injured enemy for 320% damage, and all adjacent targets for 290%. In addition to being a cleanse for the team, this can also function as a massive heal for Deadpool. If he was originally low on health and he inherits a large volume of bleeds, this could kill him, resulting in all of the debuffs leaving the field, and Deadpool instantly respawning with 80% health. He also will have changed when he takes his turns throughout the rotations. Not to mention this ability also just does a ton of damage. Domino's ultimate is No Scope. This ability costs 6 energy and is ready on turn 1. Attack primary target for 310% damage and apply Disrupted. Rebound chain to 3 adjacent targets for 240% damage. If this character is below 50% health, rebound chain to 5 adjacent targets. I like this ability for what it is: a healthy distribution of damage and a quick Disrupted. Factor in her crit chance and damage, and this might cause some chaos. Domino's passive is Lady Luck. On spawn, fill speed bar by 15%. On X-Force ally's turn, 75% chance to apply evade to that ally. Gain 10% dodge chance. X-Force allies gain 10% dodge chance. Gain 20% crit damage. X-Force allies gain 20% crit damage. Apply negative 15% crit damage to all enemies. On War Offense, on spawn, reduce speed bar for all enemies by 5%. Apply offense up to all X-Force allies. This passive is pretty loaded. Speed bar on spawn, a healthy chance to give X-Force evade on each of their turns, dodge chance and crit damage for everyone, an enemy crit damage reduction. It's all good stuff. And the kicker? Offense up to all X-Force on spawn and 5% enemy speed bar reduction in war. That kicks their initial damage up big time. Next up, we'll take a look at Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Negasonic is a hero global mutant blaster and X-Force. She packs well above average damage, backed by fairly high armor, and rounded out with mid-range health and focus. Her base speed is only 90, but you'll notice Negasonic is also packing a ton of bonus effective speed. As you'll see when we get to her abilities, she doesn't take her first turn exceptionally early like most traditionally fast characters. However, once a match gets going, she can easily perform as one of the fastest characters in the game. On her abilities. Negasonic's basic is Energy Blast. Attack primary target for 340% damage. Pretty standard, it's gonna hurt, especially in war with offense up and when aided by Domino's extra crit damage. Negasonic's special is Particle Charge. This ability costs 5 energy and is ready on turn 2. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 300% damage, clear all positive effects from each target. In addition to packing decent damage, this ability will wipe all the positive effects from a cluster of enemies, and that alone makes this ability a terrific value. And the fact that Negasonic's second turn is very likely to occur extremely early in a match means it tends to time out very nicely. Negasonic's ultimate is Teenage Warhead. This ability costs 6 energy and is ready on turn 1. Attack all enemies for 360% damage and apply heal block for 2 turns. On war offense, clear defense up on all targets. What is there to say? It's everything you want in a front-loaded offensive assault. 2 turns of heal block prevents enemies from recovering, and on war offense, removing all the enemy defense ups prevents them from absorbing the impact of what's to come. Negasonic's passive is Atomic Angst. On spawn, bury yourself for 10% of this character's max health. On enemy turn, bury yourself for 5% of this character's max health and fill speed bar by 10%. If this character has barrier, gain 30% armor. On war offense, on spawn, fill speed bar by 10% plus 5% per X-Force ally. Gain 50% damage. X-Force allies gain 50% damage. This is one of the most powerful passives in the game to date, period. Gaining barrier on spawn is nice, but gaining 5% barrier and 10% speed bar every time an enemy takes a turn, this renders Negasonic easily among the functionally fastest characters in the game, and it also makes her deceptively tanky, not only thanks to barrier, but by also granting armor when her barrier is up. This passive only gets better in modes like Campaign and Raid, where there are many enemies on the field taking turns. The fact that she gains a ton of speed bar on spawn and war is also incredible, and granting her entire team 50% damage just further solidifies this team as the unchallenged gods of war offense. Now onto the character I suspect may be the best to release this patch, X23. X23 is a hero global mutant brawler and X-Force. She's equipped with incredible health and above average focus, backed by moderate base damage and subpar armor. However, much like the rest of her team, her speed is not easy to quantify. Her base speed of 115 is well above average, but her ability to gain speed bar, as you'll see in her kit, makes her, much like Negasonic, likely to act as one of the fastest characters in the game in practice. Now let's take a look at her kit. X23's basic is Snicked. Attack primary target for 250% piercing and gain evade. In addition to having very high health and self-healing, X23 also generates evades for herself with every basic, in addition to potentially receiving an evade from an ally Domino, making her tough to hit and very survivable. X23's special is Relentless Assault. This ability costs 4 energy and is ready on turn 1. Attack primary target for 300% piercing and apply ability block. If blocked or dodged, gain bonus attack for 350% piercing. Apply +1 ability block up to a maximum of 3. Bonus attack is unavoidable. In war, bonus attack gains 10,000% extra focus. This ability is awesome. It's a low cooldown ability block that compensates for a dodge and punishes for a block. In war in particular, with the focus increase, this is an easy early 2-turn ability block into just about any boosted opponent. X23's ultimate is Feral Rage. This ability costs 6 energy and is ready on turn 2. Attack the most injured non-summon target for 140% piercing, ignoring taunt and stealth, and flip stealth on that target. Repeat this attack 4 additional times. If X23 finishes the last non-summoned enemy, repeat this full attack against the most injured summoned targets. This ability is incredible. It's a Deadpool special on steroids. All the steroids. Not only does it ignore stealth, but it procs 5 times total, which means it relentlessly pursues even characters with multiple evades. It also punishes for stealth by flipping it to a bleed. It's also coded to go after summons if all the non-summons are dead, which is a nice time-saving touch. And finally, X23's passive is Mutant Weapon. On turn, heal for 10% of this character's max health. When an enemy drops below 50% health, they'll speed bar by 40%. When this character's health drops below 50%, gain 2 evade. Gain plus 60% focus. X-Force allies and Wolverine gain plus 60% focus. On war offense, gain plus 80% focus. X-Force allies gain plus 80% focus. This passive is absolutely amazing. Self-healing is nice, and 2 evades when falling below 50% health is another nice cushion. The extra focus is definitely nice when relying on the ability block, but the real gem is the second line. X23 gains 40% speed bar when an enemy drops below 50% health. This means X23 can go on a serious rampage, similar to what the symbiotes currently do, and it's why I think she's my sleeper pick for top character this patch. Now we'll take a look at the changes to Deadpool and Cable. Deadpool got some love. Cable got spoiled. Big time. But first, let's take a look at the Merc with a Mouth. Deadpool is still Hero, Global, Mutant, Brawler, X-Force, and Mercenary. His health was increased by 10%, which means he now sports moderate health with above average damage, though he still has pitiful focus and armor. Fortunately, X23 helps out with his focus. His 112 speed is pretty brisk, and is further improved alongside Cable, who we're getting to next. I also want to point out that while his survivability isn't the best, he'll have a bunch of opportunities to gain evade from Domino, and he'll have another mechanic that's part of his passive that, let's just say his survivability won't really be a concern. In addition to the health boost, Deadpool also saw changes to his special, ultimate, and passive. His special now includes the line, if X23 is an ally, this attack ignores stealth. That's a nice perk, and it will help to counter teams like the Asgardians, no doubt. His ultimate now includes the line, if Domino is an ally, this attack cannot be counterattacked. Again, that's a nice perk, however, it's certainly not revolutionary. Unlike the changes to his passive, which are, pretty significant. His passive actually sees 2 lines added. First, on kill, generate ability energy for an ally Cable. As you'll see from Cable's new kit, this will come in handy no doubt. However, the most significant change to DP is this line. 5% chance to revive at 10% of max health. If Domino is an ally, 100% chance to revive at 80% of max health. Yeah, you heard that right. If Domino is an ally, Deadpool always revives with 80% health every time he dies. The only way to stop this is to take out Domino first. And if you were wondering, in the footage they sent us, we do get to see an AoE that takes them both out at once. Deadpool still revives with 80% health. Awfully lucky. Now let's take a look at everyone's favorite techno-organic time slider, Cable. Cable is still Hero, Cosmic, Mutant, Blaster, and X-Force. Cable received a 10% buff to his max health and a 5% boost to his speed. This means he now commands moderate health and focus, backed by decent damage and exceptionally high armor. His base speed of 96, like the rest of his teammates, is misleading, as he has several methods for gaining additional speed bar, as well as removing speed bar from his enemies. Cable's basic received a pretty significant buff. They added the line, if not charged, fill speed bar by 80%. This means Cable can opt to use his basic turn 1 and essentially sacrifice only 20% of his speed bar before unleashing a charged special at the beginning of the match. Speaking of a charged special, they changed a few portions of his special. The damage to the primary is now 340%, up from 220%, and the damage to adjacents is now 190%, up from 170. They also added these lines. If charged, in addition, clear all positive effects from primary target and clear 2 positive effects from secondary targets. The damage to targets 2 spaces from the primary was also upped from 170 to 190%. Converting Cable's charge special into a dispel of all positive effects on the primary and 2 positive effects from the secondary targets is awesome, considering it still rewinds significant turn meter as well. And finally, Cable's passive saw these lines added. On charged, bury yourself for 20% of this character's max health. On turn, 30% chance to apply counter to a random mutant ally, 20% chance to apply counter to another random ally, and if charged, bury yourself for 10% of this character's max health. On war offense, on spawn, gain charged, fill speed bar for self and all X-Force allies by an additional 5% plus 5% per X-Force ally. The extra barrier he gets from being charged is awesome, and it's nice that he'll keep topping up his barrier while passing out counter stacks. However, granting his entire team 30% speed bar on spawn when on war offense is absolutely devastating. Not only does this team have several methods for gaining additional speed bar as it is, but they get the opportunity to do so before nearly any opponents can respond. This team dominates in war with absolute control of the pace of the fight, and Cable's now a major part of that formula for success. Let's take a look at them in action. Side note, I'm recording this very late at night, so if my commentary isn't of the quality you're used to, sorry in advance. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the X-Force into the Asgardians matchup, and as you'll see, they're going to make really quick work of them. No pun intended. They get a ton of speed, so Cable's giving him around 30% speed, Negasonic with her speed on spawn. She opens up with a big ultimate, and that's going to apply heal block, and it's going to remove their defense ups, and she'll have done that with offense up. Then X23 is able to take her first turn, and she not only ability blocks Thor, but actually drops him below 50%, which means she gains speed from doing that. Then you're going to open up with a Domino ultimate, which you're seeing here. And obviously that's going to ricochet and do a bunch of damage. So again, the Asgardians haven't even taken a turn, and now 2 of them have been dropped below 50%, which is why X23 is already able to use her ultimate because she gained enough speed to take another turn, and all of this has happened before the Asgardians have done anything. Loki and Thor are off the board completely without even getting to take a turn. So then Deadpool will open up with his ultimate here, and he's going to chain through some Gregs, and mauling all of these Gregs not only gave energy to Cable, but it gave a ton of extra speed to X23, who now gets to take another turn. As you can see, this team is just brutal. X23 has another turn built up. She just gets to take a ton of turns. She's everything that people had hoped that Black Panther would be. In the most ideal of circumstances, and she does it with style. So you can see there, Hela finally got to take her first turn and throw out the ultimate, and it only hit 3 people because 2 of them had already had evade and were able to dodge. So Sif is finally able to use her first ability and taunt, and here's Heimdall opening up with his ultimate. And then the Asgardians are of course going to get an opportunity to retaliate. So you've got Cable, and he's using his ultimate, which is going to get the assist from Deadpool. It's going to do a ton of damage, and of course get the kill. So the Asgardians are down to only 2 people on the board. Here you're going to see the Negasonic special, which is going to clear any buffs that Sif would have had if it hadn't, of course, immediately killed her, because this team is just unbelievably dangerous. And then there's X23 landing yet another kill. Domino is just now getting to her second turn, and there's only 1 Asgardian still alive. And so any debuffs that the team did have all just went to Deadpool. He's fine. She throws the grenade. Heimdall survives, but it seems to have taken out some Gregs, which is of course more speed for X23, who's going to take another turn here. And I assume finish off Heimdall. Oh, okay, she goes after a Greg instead, showing off not only her awesome kill animation, but of course, getting more speed bar, which means she gets to take another turn. This time she goes after Heimdall. And finally here we have the Deadpool special, which is going to finish off Heimdall. Yeah, and then you're going to have Greg swing and miss at X23 before Negasonic takes him out. So there you have it. X-Force are definitely the new gods of war offense. If you'd like this sneak peek at an upcoming team, you can find all sorts of helpful resources on my Discord server, which is discord.gg/Khasino, and anyone is welcome to join. We've got blitz predictions, infographics, videos, data mines, content creator Q&A, and more. That said, I can't wait to build up my X-Force, and I'm sure you guys are as excited as I am. So I want to pass this question off to you guys. Which new or reworked character are you most excited for this patch? Let me know in the comments below, and one lucky winner will get $10 worth of power cores. Otherwise, that's all I've got for you for now, but I will see you guys real soon. Until then, peace!